Joining us now, E.W. Jackson. He's a picture of health himself, former Marine. He's always in shape, running around. And some people think he's going to run for U.S. Senate in 2018 like me. He's not going to run in 2017 because the seat's not going to be available. But he might run in 2018. I think he'd be a good candidate for that. He ran for lieutenant governor in 2013, won the nomination there. And he's the president of STAND. And he's making a lot of noise. And good to have you with us, E.W. Jackson.
Well, it's great to be with you, John. And what would I do without friends like you who can announce my candidacies before they even happen, whether they'll ever happen or not? What can I say, John? You are really something else.
It's great to be loved, E.W., isn't it? Now, you have to admit, though,
yes, it is.
You have to admit, though, my predictions are always on target. So I'm predicting E.W. is going to run for Senate in 2018, and he's most likely going to be the Republican nominee going up against Tim Kaine, who will remain in the Senate because Trump is going to win. Now, E.W., I tell you what, we got to get to this NFL thing. We got a lot to talk about today in 15 minutes, but I want to start with Maury High School. I don't know, maybe I'm just too old. Maybe I'm out of touch with life, or I'm old school, or I don't know what's going on with me, but I was aghast when I found out that on Friday night, public Maury High School's football team, the entire high school football team, didn't stand up for the national anthem. This is a public high school. And the coach, whose hands are tied because of the public school system we have, was like, look, I stood up. I can't tell them what to do. I mean, where are the parents here? What's going on? Did you ever think you would see this in your lifetime?
Well, I'll tell you something, John. First of all, of course, it's disgusting. It's despicable. These kids are being misguided, and somebody needs to sit them down and teach them what it means, a blessing of being an American and the privileges and the opportunities they have that the whole world envies. But that aside, we are faced, John, with a plague, an epidemic of leftist political thinking, political correctness, sort of disdain and hatred for all things American, our flag, our anthem, our institutions. It's not a majority, but by a very significant minority group, and I don't mean racially minority, I mean an ideological minority group in this country. And frankly, the gullible and the people who don't think clearly about these issues are very likely to be swept up in it. I expect to see more of it before it ends.
Well, so let's get to this public high school. Did the football coach really have any choice but to say what he said, which is, look, I coach football, right? They can do what they want. I can't tell them what to do. I mean, I understand the school's hands are tied. What about the parents here?
Yeah, you would think somebody would grab a kid by the scruff of the neck and say, look, you're an American. You got an issue with our country. You can certainly speak up about the issue. You can write about the issue. But you're going to respect the flag, because the flag and the national anthem represent the entire country. And this country is noble and virtuous and has offered a higher standard of living and more opportunity and possibilities for the average individual than any nation that's ever existed on the face of the earth. I mean, part of the problem, John, is we don't teach our history anymore. We don't teach who we are anymore. I really believe that America is in many ways in an identity crisis, and it just happens to erupt at this school where apparently there's not enough influence on these kids to say you cannot and will not do that.
Okay, let's get to the NFL and Colin Kaepernick taking a knee. Now the NFL players involved in this disrespect for the flag. And, look, I'm all for people protesting and all that freedom. But, we're at war. I mean, we have our young men and women over there getting shot at and dying. I mean, we're in a period right now of war. We have troops overseas engaged in battle with ISIS. Whether we've declared it or not, it's happening. And so you've got people that are in wheelchairs at the football games. You got these people that don't want to stand up.
I don't want to draw too direct a line, but I think this is worth saying. I think that if we had for the last 7.5 years a black president who was willing to express sincere affection, honor, respect for the flag, for the national anthem, for our country, I think people like Kaepernick would have been hard-pressed to do what he's doing. But because we have a president who goes abroad and criticizes our country, a president who I've reminded people, by the way, when he was running the first time, refused to wear the American flag lapel pin and said that that wasn't his kind of patriotism. Fear has been created where it's okay to denigrate the flag and denigrate the national anthem. And frankly, we really need a president who loves our country and is willing to give a full-throated expression of that. I think that would have damped down a lot of this nonsense. But, right now it seems to be open season on America. It's
pretty incredible to me. And I guess it's the high school. I mean, these snot-nosed NFL players making $19 million that, get their tushy wiped. I lose interest very quickly. But I guess I was really taken aback when I saw that the entire Norfolk Memorial High School football team disrespected their country in that manner. I just shook my head. I think it was reported in the local newspaper. I actually had to read the thing 3 times because I couldn't believe my eyes, and I'm thinking there must be something here that I missed.
And John, let's keep in mind, he's broadened this. Initially, this was supposed to be about police brutality and all of that, and the data shows there is no epidemic of police brutality against black people or anybody else. But of course, the facts don't matter, and truth doesn't matter because people are caught up in sort of an emotional and hysterical reaction to a couple of incidents. But the reality is, he said he's not standing because he will not respect a flag or a country that oppresses black people and other minorities. And then he went on to say it allows cops to kill black people and goes home. Then they go home and they get paid to go on paid leave. So the implication is the whole country is oppressive, and there's some sort of conspiracy to pay cops to go kill black folks. I mean, think about how ridiculous that sounds, but that's exactly what the man said. And so he's condemning the whole country, not just raising an issue, and no American should be supporting what he's doing. I've been angry about this thing, John, since it started. I love that flag. I love our country. And I just think this guy is nuts. He's out to lunch, and somebody needs to call him out. And thank God the Redskins did a wonderful patriotic display. I'm waiting for an NFL player to say, you're off, you're wrong, you ought to be thankful to God that you live in America, and if you got a problem, you ought to want to solve that, but don't condemn the whole country and insult all Americans with what you're doing.
Yeah, we're kind of waiting for some NFL player to step up and say that. You're absolutely correct. Maybe if Tim Tebow was still in the NFL, he would have done that. Bishop Jackson, let's get to Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, this pneumonia gate over the weekend. We played the montage earlier today a couple times. Former President Bill Clinton saying, well, she's had this bout frequently, no, rarely, no, frequently, well, sometimes. Same day, Hillary Clinton gets on Anderson Cooper and she says, well, it's only happened to me 2 times, but I manage it, so maybe it's over 2 times. And people are just looking at this, shaking their head. Have the lies caught up with these people?
Yeah, well, first of all, let me just say as a minister, John, I pray for Hillary Clinton. I don't wish sickness or illness or that sort of thing on anybody.
Right.
But, I am really tired of the Clintons and the lies and the secrecy and the cover-up. And by now, this is supposed to be the most transparent administration in history, and I guess that means she was the most transparent Secretary of State in history. No, not. These are folks who have one agenda, John. Their agenda is about themselves. I mean, when you go from being little podunks down in Arkansas to being worth $150 million, and you never manufactured anything, created anything, invented anything, built anything, how did you get all that money? Well, obviously, you got it by selling influence. That's how they got that money. And, of course, I don't know how many billions they have in their foundation. These people, and I don't mean to be stark about this, but I just believe this is true. These people are crooks. They're very smart crooks, but they're crooks. And so the secrecy is all about hiding their crookedness. I hope the American people wake up and realize we cannot have this woman as president of the United States. That'd be a disaster for our country.
EW, how does Donald Trump turn the corner and win this election?
Well, I tell you, I think he's on the right track, John. I think he's got to keep reaching out to the black community because, as you know, Hillary Clinton needs to get about 95% of the black vote. as opposed to the 87% that she's hovering at now. And I think if he can keep reaching out, he can keep those numbers down, maybe even win a few of those to his side and get people to rethink it. I think he's got to work these battleground states, and he's doing that. I mean, he's been in Virginia several times.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, my organization is partnering with Vision America. We're doing a bus tour from Ohio to Pennsylvania, Virginia, North Carolina, and Florida, urging Christians to get out and vote and to vote their Christian values. So if we can turn the vote out of people who are going to vote for the things that matter to us, free market, life, traditional values, strong economy, then I think people are going to vote for Donald Trump, and Donald Trump will be president of the United States. In fact, I'll tell you something, I could be wrong. I still, in my gut, believe he's going to win.
I do, too. We're on the same page there. I think he's going to win, and I think he's going to win by enough votes in the battleground states to overcome what is going to be voter fraud and cheating. No question. It's so bad now that you've got to win by enough votes in these states to overcome that. I don't know what the percentage is, but it's out there. We're getting reports every day of how this is getting manipulated. Now, EW, let's get to Trump's speeches. Saturday, I guess it was a week ago or so in Detroit. A lot of Democrats are saying, look, this is a facade. He doesn't really care about the black community. It's all for show, and it's really aimed at white suburban voters. He could care less about black voters. That's what they're saying. How do you respond to that?
No, I think that's completely wrong. Look, I've learned about Donald Trump that Donald Trump has a lot of black people and other minorities around him. To me, the rhetoric of the left of, we're for you and we hate racists and all of that. Okay, well, show me. Okay, well, what do you have to show me? You've got to show me. You show me a Detroit that is a basket case economically. You show me more poverty. You show me more food stamps. You show me higher levels of violence in the inner city. You show me a disintegrated family tradition in the black community as a result of the intervention of welfare. I'm not seeing anything that indicates that you care about blacks or other minorities other than bad policies that have created bad results. Donald Trump has promoted people, advanced people, hired people, and he's some of his closest friends, and I know this is cliche, but I've gotten to know some of them. I mean, really close friends that he's known for years, long before he ever planned to run for president, happened to be black. So I think this is a man who cares very deeply, very sincerely, and I think that he's going to bring one of the critical things that the black community needs, and that's jobs. And I'll tell you, John, I'm out there plugging for him. As you know, I was not an original Trump supporter.
Right. I
am now an enthusiastic Trump supporter, and I believe that he could be the best thing that ever happened to the black community as a president. Zero for the black community.
All right, so EW, I know early on you were for Cruz. We were in Iowa together on opposite ends there. I was for Trump, as you know, from the beginning. So is my lovely wife, Ann, the Fräulein, who you know. So just based on your knowledge, am I in the basket of deplorables?
Well, listen, John, unfortunately, I think we all are. And here's the dangerous thing. I don't think people are taking that seriously enough because, to me, when I heard that, it smacked of a sort of a totalitarian attitude that suggests we got to get rid of these people. Remember, she said they're irredeemable. Irredeemable. I mean, that means these people aren't worthy of life, apparently, because there's nothing you can do to help them. I'll tell you, to elect somebody like that as president of the United States, to me, that's a far worse comment than Romney's 47% comment. And frankly, even Barack Obama's, clinging to guns. This sounded really ominous to me. So it just strengthened my resolve even more to make sure that this woman never sits in the Oval Office as president of the United States.
You're right. I mean, it just shows her utter contempt for working people. I mean, if you're not part of the left-wing intelligentsia or part of the elite or part of her Hollywood set or part of her donor base in the Hamptons or Wall Street or the TARPist or the globalist, she just really can't be bothered with you. So my 12-year-old, who you know, Jojo, heard this and said, we were talking about it at the dinner table, and he says, well, 50%, that's 1 out of 2, right? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, maybe she's onto something because, mom's not in that basket, Dad, but I think I put you in there, so 50%. I mean, maybe she's onto something. It's my own family, the abuse I have to take.
Right.
So
yeah,
I think,
look, I believe me, I know he's kidding. You don't belong in anybody's basket of deplorables, John. I can tell you that.
I am the basket. All right, we're done. We want to thank Bishop E.W. Jackson, working hard out there. Hey, go to standamerica.us, and he's doing a lot of good work. And what do you got coming up?
John, let me mention. September 17th, folks, is the 229th anniversary of the Constitution of the United States. I'm going to be broadcasting live with my face votes at 4 p.m. Eastern Time on my Facebook page, giving a talk on the Constitution and answering your questions and your comments. I'm excited about it. I love our Constitution, John. I know we've got some folks in this country, including the president, who don't respect it too much, but most of us do, and let's celebrate the 229th anniversary of our Constitution.
All right, I want to thank E.W. Jackson. Do that. Standamerica.us.